Oh shit, it's me, I'm alive. I feel like every time I do this introduction of saying I'm alive, it gets more and more painful. Because it's closer and closer to a lie. Yeah, hi guys. You know, I didn't stream last week and because of stuff. I feel bad because I told you guys I was going to stream more often, and then what did I do? I proceeded to not not do that. But I have reasons, okay? So let's talk about it while we play some Risk of Rain. Supposedly it's been patched and it should be better now. I'll believe it when I see it, you know? We'll see about that. Okay, let me get comfortable real quick. For me, it's already like 3 o'clock, and I've been like doing shit all day long, so I'm a little exhausted already. So we'll probably only do like an hour or so stream, maybe one round, one loop. Okay. So I didn't stream last weekend. I think I streamed the weekend before. I don't know, man. Things have just been rough. I feel like every time I feel like things are gonna be okay again, like something else terrible happens. And it's just kind of hard. I only have I only had one grandparent left, and my grandfather passed away. And then his funeral was this Wednesday, so it was just kind of a lot to deal with. And I just needed a break, you know? Sometimes you just can't handle it. There was just too many things happening in my life that I just, you know. So that's why I didn't stream. I have excuses. Look at me. But yeah, honestly, there was a lot going on. I was really stressed and overwhelmed. And I just needed to take the weekend. Which, I don't know, it didn't really help because, like, all I did was spend the weekend acting like a crazy person. I had to clean a bunch and do a bunch of shit, and I don't know. I just go through these, like, phases sometimes where I, like, become really, like, OCD about, like, how the house looks and feels. And how, like, it'll suddenly just feel really dirty to me. Everything's just really gross, and I, like, cannot handle it. And everything's just a mess, and I have to do something about it immediately. And it just sort of, like, sucks because it's just shitty, okay? Because I get very overwhelmed in the moment that happens, and I tend to, like, do too much. And get sort of, like, manic in a way about it. I don't know, it just sucks, basically. But yeah, so that was my last weekend, and it just, you know, like I said, it wasn't a good time. I mean, this weekend's not much better, because I also felt like I had to clean and get some shit done, and kind of, like, went through that, like, crazy person phase, but it was a little bit different. I don't know, we're getting close. It's like Tuesday I'll be at 30 weeks pregnant, and like most people have their babies at, like, I don't know, like around 40-ish weeks. It's my app says 72 days to go, which is almost 60 days, which is 2 months, which doesn't feel like a lot of time. And so I'm just overthinking a lot about things and getting stressed about preparations, and I think it's just like the fear is creeping in. So like I really wanted to get some cleaning done, and get some prep done for like the baby room, because like I don't know, with all of the complications, I feel terrified to set up a baby room. I know that sounds dumb. I felt the same way about like buying things. Like once we started having complications, I felt like really, really nervous about purchasing anything, because you don't know if things are gonna go wrong, or if I don't know how to say this in like a less horrible way. You don't know if you're gonna come home with a baby or not. You know? There's still a chance that I could come home without one. And that's really scary. And so like the idea of buying the stuff, choosing a name, you know, decorating the room, it feels like you're really like setting your expectations into stone that you'll be coming home with a child. And I'm very nervous of the disappointment and the sadness that'll come with if that doesn't happen. And it sucks because most people don't have to worry about this sort of thing. And it's true, like we've talked with the surgeon and everything, and like we know the expectations of like the outcome and all that jazz, and like overall she has a pretty good outcome, but like it's not guaranteed. And I mean, even people who come home with a perfect child, you know, sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, is like not uncommon. And so I'm so scared of like just losing someone in that way. I don't know. It's like you've been baking a cake for 9 months and you finally finish frosting the cake. It looks beautiful. You're ready to eat the cake, and the fucking cake falls on the ground. And the devastation you would feel. That's a pretty good example. But yeah, so I don't know. It's a lot. And then I've like reached the 3rd trimester in my pregnancy. It feels like the baby suddenly started growing very fast. And so I'm actually in like a lot of pain and discomfort. And it kind of sucks. There's just not enough space for a child. You know, I got organs and shit in there. And like, yeah, this is how it works. But like, you know, it's a tight fit. And it's not the most comfortable thing. Some days it feels like my ribs are being ripped apart. And then I've been dealing with like this like sciatic nerve pain that really sucks. My hip hurts all the time. And it just kind of it's hard. I mean, obviously we knew it wouldn't be like simple. It's not like easy, but it just, I think with all of the combination of like the mental strain of the concerns with the complications, my grandfather, other issues, because there's another issue that I can't really I can't talk about, that's it's unrelated to the baby. It is related to family. It's just complicated and stuff like that. So but like all of that is very overwhelming and just sort of eating away at me. And like, yeah, it'll be fine. We'll get through it. It'll you know, things happen. But it doesn't make it less exhausting and stressful. I definitely feel like I've got a lot on my plate. And then I've been having issues with work. I don't know, man. Like, I feel like my boss is on fucking drugs. Like, she's the worst boss I've ever had, I feel like. And that's saying something. It just, like... Okay, so here's the deal. So, as somebody in the tech industry, there are many times where I have a boss that is not technically savvy, but they are managing me, whose job is doing technical work. It's not easy to manage somebody when you don't know what their job is. Like, you don't know the details. You can't do their job. Most of the time, the preference is that the manager, if needed, should be able to take over the employee's job and do it. In my industry, it's a little different. It's not very common for, like, a programmer to become a manager and to manage other people. They're normally not, like, people like that. Which is fine. And this can work. It can work. The problem is that, like, you have to trust your team and you have to listen to what they say. And if you don't do those two things, then you're going to be in the dark at all times. I explain my job often. I explain what I'm working on. I explain detailed, like, in-depth explanations, but I also will explain on a more high level so that people who are not technically savvy can understand. For me, it's one of the things that I've always been talented at, and that people have always liked that I can do, because I'm good at communicating what I'm working on to people who don't understand. Now, the problem is in order to fucking, like, communicate in this way, you have to listen, and you have to pay attention, and you have to trust me that I know what I'm doing. And that's the big thing, is trust. If you don't trust that I'm educated and knowledgeable in my subject, then you will not trust that I'm doing my job, and you will not trust that I am explaining what I am working on to you properly. And that's stupid. You paid me to do this job, which means that you should have an understanding of my skills associated with the work. And you should be able to have that reliance on me. It's very, very hard to work with a boss who simultaneously appreciates your hard work and likes the work that you're doing, but also does not trust that you're doing your job and that you're not a piece of shit. And so a good example is, like, let's say deadlines, okay? My boss gives me a deadline of whatever, Wednesday. I say, okay, as long as I don't run into any issues, I'll have it done by Wednesday. I'll keep you in the loop and I'll explain if I run into any problems. On Monday, I run into this issue that makes what I'd like to do not possible due to a bug in the code. Not necessarily my code, but maybe like a code base that I'm using or something like that. That doesn't allow me to do what was expected to be able to do. I explain it to my boss. I tell them the options of solutions, and I tell them that, you know, solution A means that we'll just take out this feature. Solution B means that we're gonna do it this, like, back-ended way that'll take twice as long for me to complete. Which would you prefer? If my boss chooses solution B, they should understand that this is me telling them this project's date will be extended because this item will take twice as long. I've been very clear about the time frame. And if my boss doesn't understand that, it feels like she's not listening to what I'm saying. Because I explained when I explained what the options were, why one option might be better than the other, why this option is, you know, this and that option's that. And so there's no reason there shouldn't be an understanding of the deadline change. And then even if I verbally say, okay, choosing this will extend the deadline by 2 days. If my boss comes to me later and is like, why isn't this done yet? And it's Wednesday, I'm gonna be like, I told you the deadline would be extended by 2 days and you chose this option as the resolution. So it'll be done in 2 days. Like, that's how it works. When you have a discussion with someone, you come to an agreement, you both understand the agreement, and that's what things are. But my boss lands more in the realm of not fucking paying attention to what I say. And so I'll tell her the deadline's extended because of X, Y, and Z. These are the options to fix it. These are why I can't do it the way that I need to do it. This is what you guys asked for. This is what it's currently doing with the available functionality, you know, and go over like all of the pros and cons. Do you guys like it the way that it's currently working? Is this enough that you're happy with it as a solution? Do you need me to dig into it more? How do you want me to move forward, basically? And my boss tells me how they want me to move forward. I say, okay, then this will, you know, take this long. There's no world in which at a later date my boss should get mad at me for the deadline being extended to the date that I told them, because we had a whole conversation about it. But my current boss fucking cannot. I don't understand. Like, it'll be in writing. We will discuss it in messaging so that it's very clear. We'll have a call about it if it's unclear in messaging. We'll have like full-on multiple conversations about how it's being moved to the next version because we don't have enough time to complete it in this version. And then come deploy day, she'll be like, where's this feature? And it's like, we discussed this extensively. You know this feature was moved to the next version because we didn't have enough time to complete it because so-and-so didn't get back with the answers we needed. Yeah, but they responded on Monday. I thought you could have it done by Wednesday. Well, you know, just because you thought something doesn't mean it changed what we had already discussed. Like, that's you making assumptions and then, like, not even talking to me about the assumptions or telling me about the assumptions, just assuming, and then getting mad when I can't read your mind. And so I've been having lots of issues with my boss with this kind of bullshit. That it's just like, I'm doing all the work that I'm being asked to do, but I'm still getting shit on and being told that it's not enough. Because my boss just fucking forgets, just doesn't listen, doesn't understand, but doesn't ask questions, and like, then blames it all on me. And it's really, really hard. I don't know, it's frustrating. I'm salaried, and my job doesn't require me to be talking to users or taking phone calls or anything like that. So I can do my job whenever, honestly. And if you give me a task to do and I get my task done, does it matter what time I do my task? As long as it gets done by the date that you want it? Not really. So if I have a doctor's appointment that I have to go see a specialist for my pregnancy, and I go in the afternoon, and I come back in the evening, and then I do all my work in the evening, does that make a difference? Does that mean that I'm not doing my job? No, I'm still doing my job, I'm just doing it at a different time. But does it mean that I'm lazy and shitty compared to my coworkers? In my boss's eyes, yes. Yes, it does. It doesn't matter that you're getting your work done. You're not working at the same hours as these other people, and they aren't currently pregnant with a baby that has complications, but that doesn't matter. I'm mad because you're not here. You know, and it's like, is it an issue of me not responding to them quickly enough? No. Is it an issue of me, again, not meeting deadlines? No, not in this case. Is it an issue of me handing in poor work? No. Is it an issue of me not understanding and like being able to do my job properly? Nope. So why is it a problem? And like she's very like passive aggressive about it in a lot of instances. And so like for example, I posted to our group chat the other day, I'm like, I'm leaving for my appointment, I'll be back in the afternoon. It's 2 appointments in a row, so it'll be a little bit longer, but just send me a message if you need anything while I'm gone. Very straightforward, very blunt, nothing fancy. They both knew about my appointment because it's on the shared calendar. Like, shouldn't be an issue. Her response is, well, are you taking PTO or are you going to make that time up? It shouldn't be a question. Like, I don't know. If I'm taking PTO, I put it into the system as PTO. If I'm taking time off, I put it in as time off. If I'm planning to make up the time, I put it on our shared calendar, and then I just work later. So I shouldn't have to message her for every single appointment and explain, like, how it works. Because we've talked about the system that we're using to make sure that, like, I'm making up time. And again, it's, if I'm taking PTO, I put it in the PTO system. If I am, if something, like, comes up, like, one of the problems was that one of my appointments was the day that my grandfather passed away. So I went to my appointment, I got home from my appointment just in time for my mom to call me and let me know. And so I ended up taking PTO that day. But I messaged my boss and explained the situation and told her I was taking PTO because of that. So there was no lack of communication. Like, it was fully discussed, and I made sure that she was aware and understood and responded to my message prior to me taking the day. And even then, I actually still worked half the day. But I put it in as a day of PTO because I just didn't want to deal with the like having to explain what I had done and all that jazz. But it's hard. I like, my previous boss trusted my work. She trusted me to know what I was doing. She trusted me to get my shit done. And as long as I got my shit done, she didn't care if I needed to go to a doctor's appointment or if I needed to take PTO this day. You know, like, as long as I got my work done, it didn't matter. And I really miss that, and I don't understand why I can't have that. And I don't understand why my boss almost does sound, it feels like she just doesn't trust me to do my job. Like, it feels like she thinks she has to babysit me to ensure I get my work done. But, like, if you give me my work and you tell me when the due date is, it'll happen. Like, it'll get done. I don't know. I've never missed a deadline due to my failure. I had to delay certain parts of my most recent project to the next version, because I had questions and they didn't answer them until 2 days before. You know, like, and that's not my fault. I asked them the question as soon as they sent me the request. It was them that took 3 weeks to respond. That, again, is not my fault and not my problem. So that delaying the deadline of that portion is on that other person for not responding. Because on top of it, like, I repeatedly re-emailed them to check in and to try and get the information. So it's not like I just sent one email and then it, you know, I ignored it. Like, it was me checking in every day and being like, hey, could you just send me that information so I could fucking do my job? And then they sent me the information 2 days before the code freeze to deploy the project, and it was a fucking huge addition. So it wasn't just the information I asked for, but it was also, they were like, oh, also add this and this and this and this. So it wasn't feasible. And I told my boss immediately that due to the amount of time it took for the response, due to the information in the response, it wasn't feasible to go into this deploy. We could either delay this deploy for a later date, and I can include this, or we can move it into the next version. And my boss chose to move it into the next version. But then on Friday, when I sent out basically like it's the checklist of what's going out, I didn't include that item because it wasn't going out in this version. And my boss was like, why is it not going out in this version? And it feels like the whole conversation we had, just like, she just forgot it. But then when I like reminded her and was like, well, we talked about this, it's, you know, he got me the information too late. And she's like, well, he got you the information before the code freeze, so shouldn't that be enough? And it's like, no, I need time to actually fucking program it. I need time to program it. I need time to test it. I need time to ensure that it functions as intended. I need time for if any problem occurs. Because, you know, things aren't perfect and issues happen. And, like, she just, like, seemed pissed. Which just pissed me off. Because, like I said, we communicated about it. We talked about it. It was in writing. It wasn't like I pulled it out of my ass. Like, where's this worm? Oh, there he is. Like, it was very clear what we had discussed. It was very clear what our decision was. I just didn't understand, like, why it was going that way. I still don't really get it, of, like, why my boss thought that that was, you know, that was my fault, that I did something wrong. And was upset about it, because that's outside of my hands. Oof, got me in the butt. But, like, this has been sort of like a constant of, like, these sorts of issues, these things that are, like, don't make sense for her to get upset at me about. And it seems like she almost has a grudge at me for having a child, and for having medical problems and needing to go to the doctor. I don't know, man. Like, if I was working a job where I was expected to, like, be somewhere physically, you know, answer phones during a certain time frame, be support for a certain time frame, I could understand. But everything that I do is in the back end. It's all hidden from the public eye. So there's no reason it should be a big problem in this way. Like, it just makes me feel like shit. I don't know. I just hate it a lot. Maybe it makes me a whiny little bitch, but, like, I just want to be able to do my job and be left alone. And I really don't like that my boss seems to almost not trust me to complete my work. And then even when I complete my work and I communicate with her, it feels like she's just not happy with it. It feels like no matter what I do, there's, like, some frustration there. And I don't know why. At this point, it feels almost like it's borderline harassment. And it's frustrating. Because, like, I haven't done anything to deserve, like, this shit. And, like, she messaged us Friday afternoon. And or Thursday afternoon, maybe? I don't know. At the end of the week last week. And she's like, it's time for our, yearly reviews. And then she explained to us that it's, like, a 2-part review. There's, like, the personal review portion, and then she reviews us. And they set up a meeting and talk to us about it. Now, every company I've ever worked at with these fucking reviews, they're shit. They're so shit. Because the company, will only do, they won't do anything above expectations. And if you're lucky, they'll say you meet expectations, but the likelihood of that is also slim. The majority of the time, they'll say that you have room for improvement, regardless of how much work you do and how good you are. They'll always say that there's room for improvement. And so it's annoying because it's like, why bother, like, telling them that you think you're doing a good job? Because no matter what, the managers are told to tell you that you're doing a mediocre job. because they don't want to have a reason to have to give you a raise. Because if you're exceeding expectations, then the mental assumption is that you're doing more than other people and you should be getting paid extra. You know, like, that's just fair. When you work harder, you get more, but that's not how it works. And so they feel the need to like downplay you in a way to basically say like, no, you're not, you shouldn't get a raise. Even if you're working hard, we'll have to lie to you and tell you that you're actually shit. So like whenever these things come up, I get really frustrated because I feel like it's just sort of a scam for the company to be able to like have a piece of paper and say like, nope, they aren't good enough to get more money. And I don't like that. Come on. It's just, you know, I want to be paid for my work. I want to be recognized for my skill and for the efforts I put in. And it sucks when that doesn't happen. And it sucks when companies put rules in place specifically to make sure that doesn't happen. But the thing is that's like an industry standard. Well, that's kind of a world standard. It's not even just the industry of development. It's just the standard for having a job, is that companies will tell you you're not doing enough, so they don't have to pay you anymore. It's a big old scam. And I don't know, like, so I know that no matter what, she's gonna have some shit to say. But I also feel like because of this like weird dislike she has for me, she's also gonna probably say that I'm taking too long on projects, or I'm not meeting expectations because of my appointments, or that like I'm not at work enough. And I don't know, I'm tired of these words without proof to back it up, you know? Like, it's this my same frustration with like the whole return to office thing. Like, these companies are like, oh, but return to office is good for the employees, it's good for the company. But like they're just saying that. They have nothing to back that up. You know? And then on top of it, like you're grouping everyone into a category, and you can't because like I said, return to office makes sense for people whose jobs are very physically, you know, visible towards clients and front facing, and, you know, work very intricately with other groups. But it doesn't necessarily make sense for me, who is a developer who works behind the scenes, doesn't necessarily interact on a regular basis with other people, and doesn't need other people to complete their job unless it's, you know, sending an email telling me what you want me to include on the next project. Do I have to be in the office for those things? No. Does it help my job? No. Does it make me less productive? Yes. There's too much going on. I get overwhelmed and overstimulated, and it's difficult for me to focus, and people come over and ask me dumb questions that are completely unrelated to my job, like, I have this Windows update pop-up that's telling me I need to update. What should I do? I don't know, I'm not IT. Yeah, but you program, so that's the same thing. You know? Or I have a computer at home that's not working, can you help me? And it's like, this is not what I'm here for. And those are the things that I get when I'm in office. You know? Or I tried to talk to my manager to override this thing and they're unavailable, so will you just override it? And it's like, well, I'm not supposed to override things for you if I don't know from your manager that that's approved. So no, I can't. And then they just get mad at me because they're like, just override it. And you're like, no, I'm not gonna put my job at risk for you just coming over and being like, hey, override this thing. Like, it could be anything. You could be asking me to override a decision to kill someone. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what your fucking job is. I don't know who you are. I don't interact much in my day-to-day to where I would need to be in the office. But the fact that it's this thing that's touted as facts that it's more productive without actually having anything to back it up is just like how I feel about how my boss is treating my job, you know? They have nothing to back up their opinions on what they're saying. Literally, there's documentation to prove the opposite, but they still feel the need to be like, you're not doing enough. You're not, you know, you're not productive enough. Your deadlines are taking too long. But that's hard too, because it's like they have no understanding or concept of what goes into my job. So when I say something's gonna take 2 months, they're like, but why? And I can explain it. I can explain the amount of work that goes into the project, but they'll never understand. And if they don't trust me to tell them a proper, reasonable deadline, then yeah, they're gonna fucking think that I'm lazy and shitty because they're gonna assume that it should be done quicker without any basis for that information. Just pulled it out of their ass. And that's the thing that's frustrating me right now, is that it just feels like my boss pulls things out of her ass and decides that that's how it should be, with no basis or backing to it. With no recourse or, like, reason for why. And I'm so tired of it, because it's stressful as hell. Okay? Like, I just want to do my job. Okay? I just want to get my shit done. Like, I don't mind doing my job. I don't mind doing my work. You know, you tell me what to do, I'll complete it. If I run into problems, I'll tell you. If I, you know, complete it early, I'll tell you. If I complete it late, I'll tell you ahead of time that I'm gonna complete it late. Like, I'm very open to discussing issues when I run into them. And the problem too is with development, there's a lot of what people could consider useless work. It's not actually useless, it's important work, but it's a lot of like trial and error sort of things. Testing if this works the way that we expect it to work, testing if, you know, this is an option, and realizing it's not, and having to go back and undo everything you did and then do something a different way. That's all trial and error, and that's just how it works. We're trying to make something work, and, you know, it requires us to test a few things to do it. And that doesn't mean that time that we use to test is useless or pointless or wasted. But like a lot of these people who are non-technically savvy think that it's wasted time. They think every second that you spend doing something should be able to produce something that's usable, something that's valued. And that's just not how it works. And so it's really hard to get that through to somebody who doesn't understand and doesn't really try to understand. And so yeah, I feel like work's been really hard lately because it's just been constant of feeling like my boss is out to get me because she doesn't comprehend what I'm explaining and what my needs are, and like why things are the way they are. Even when I go through the whole shindig of explaining in detail why it's like this, what I'm doing, where I'm at, like what problems I've run into, what they affect, like what are the things that I've tried. Like, I could explain all of this in detail multiple times to my boss, and it still ends with them being like, okay, but why is it late? Why isn't it perfect? Why did it take you 2 days? You know? And it's strictly an issue with, again, lack of trust and lack of understanding. You know, she's not putting in the effort to understand what my job entails. And it's negatively impacting my job and her expectations of me. Because her expectations don't match the real world. You know, that's it. It just doesn't match the real world and what's possible. And it really sucks. I really hate it. It makes me feel like I am shit. It really kicks that imposter syndrome real hard up. And I just get so disappointed and I feel so stressed. And so I just feel like lately I've been very overwhelmed with work. Not because it's hard per se, but because of this feeling of being sort of the outside person who isn't understood. That feeling of being misunderstood and mistreated because of that misunderstanding. It sucks so bad. So in addition to having to deal with the pregnancy complications, feeling like shit, my grandfather passing away, everything going on in my life, bills, fucking so many bills, money stress, trying to plan out like what I need for baby, trying to like do all of this. I also have to deal with my boss who has no fucking idea what the hell is going on, who can't manage me. And I am honestly afraid that she's gonna try to fire me. I feel like we're gonna have this this meeting for this this review, and she's just gonna be like, you're bad, or you miss too much work, or you don't meet deadlines, or whatever, or it takes too long to finish stuff. And like, it makes me angry because those things are not a reflection of my skill and work efforts. It's a reflection of her understanding of what I'm doing. You know, I feel like I could make like this super amazing great project and hand it to her, and she would be like, yeah, but it took you too long. You know? And it doesn't matter the actual quality or that it's useful. It matters that, no, I think it took too long. I don't like it. And that's very hard to deal with. And it's very hard because I am super not in control of my emotions. And I really just want to lash out and scream and yell and call people dumb. And say mean words. But I need to keep this job at least until the baby's born. Honestly, I think that like once the baby's born and I've had a chance to like settle a little bit into a routine and like get things a little bit more figured out, I will probably find a new job. Because this management style, it really does not mesh well with me as a person. And it's negatively impacting me. I've worked really hard to like build up my confidence because I'm not the most confident person. And it feels like it's slowly being torn down again. And I don't want to go back to where I was in the past. You know? I don't want to fall back into these places that I was stuck in before, of where I felt like I couldn't do anything and I felt like a disappointment and that like I wasn't worthy of anything, you know? I don't want to fall back into that. I want to be able to say like I feel confident in what I do. I feel like my skills are useful. I feel like I'm appreciated. And in order to do that, I need my boss to not suck. And it feels bad. I don't know. There's some people who just shouldn't be managers of certain people. There's some people who should just not be managers in general. I don't know which category she fits into, because I don't know how she is with managing other people. But I know that for me, it's just not gonna work. I like her as a person. I really do. I think she's very great. Like, you know, we get along on a personal level. It's just, it feels like she works with her eyes closed and her ears closed and then assumes the worst. And I don't work well that way. I don't know. It sucks because like I feel guilty about it. I have like major guilt issues where I feel guilty for like simple, stupid things that are completely not my fault. And this is one of them. Oops. It feels like I should be able to like somehow fix myself to make it better, but like this isn't something that's I'm doing wrong. And it is hard sometimes for me to like think about it that way and understand it that way. But like I know I'm not doing anything wrong, you know? I'm doing my job the way I'm supposed to do it. I'm completing my tasks. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't know. I could say that all day and still have trouble like believing it. Not because I'm stupid or bad or anything. It's just because words and feelings don't always align in the way you would expect them to. I don't know. I'm sure you guys understand. Maybe. Or you don't and I'm just talking to myself. Who knows? Why is this thing fucking so hard to kill? What the hell are you made of? Die. You better give me lots of money when you die. Ooh, really did. I don't know what this is. Sure. But anyways, I've whined enough about my job. To whine about something else. All I can think about is work right now because it was what I was thinking about. I just want to be happy, you know? I've been putting in a lot of effort in my life to like find myself in a way. To like try new things, to try and like be okay with who I am as a person. To not hate myself. Which like, I don't know, for some people that's so simple. It's as easy as breathing. But for me it takes a lot of effort. To do stuff like that, to try and be okay with who I am and what I've done in my life and, you know, things like that. I don't have a ton of confidence. I wasn't born feeling like the smartest, best person in the world. I am not a narcissist in any way, shape, or form. I wish I had that ability. But I've worked really hard to like meet some kind of middle ground for myself that I feel like is good enough almost. And so like I don't want to lose that because somebody's tearing me down so hard in such a dumb way. But it's hard, you know? Your brain constantly lies to you about things, and tries to make you believe that you're shit, you're not as good as you are, you're useless, people hate you, that sort of thing. Or maybe that's just me, but my brain lies to me a lot. And so it takes work to fight that. And I just don't want to lose the effort that I've put in, you know? It's very, very hard to move forward, but it's very easy to move back. So, yeah. I don't know. I guess wish me luck in, like, not, like, letting myself fall apart because of one person's bullshit. I don't want to let that be my defining loss, you know? That I listened to what someone else had to say, and that ruined things for me. So yeah. I'm trying. I really am. I just don't know that it's that easy. But, you know, we'll put in the effort. We'll give it the good old college try, as they say. I think that's a thing that people say. Sure. Oh, hiccups. But yeah, I don't know. And then as far as like new jobs, there's also like questions of like, I don't know, I feel like we've had this discussion before, but questions of like, what do I actually want to do? You know, do you want to keep doing what I'm currently doing? Do I want to switch to something different? Do I worry about the fact that I'm gonna probably end up taking a pay cut if I switch jobs? Do I make that like my main focus and concern? Or do I just focus on happiness? And how is happiness defined? Like, what would make me happy in a job? I don't know, it's hard because like at my job before this one, before the layoffs and everything, even with all the stress and frustration and stuff, like I still actually really liked my job, all things considered. I really enjoyed my coworkers. My boss was good. Like, yeah, things weren't perfect all the time and I had some issues, but like overall I felt happy and content with what I was doing. I felt like I was making progress in that I wasn't depressed all the time. Sorry, moving positions. I felt like people relied on me and believed in me and trusted me. Which is kind of a big deal. I really need that in my life, is the feeling of being relied on and that people believe me. I think that's like the best way I can explain it. I don't know. I grew up in a situation where, you know, one of my parents had this thing that they would do, that they would say, basically, you don't know anything. Just shut up, you don't know anything, kind of thing. And for the longest time I thought it was true, that I just didn't know anything and that I was stupid. And it took a really long time for me to be like, well, you know, like I learned these things and that means I know them. And you saying I don't know them doesn't mean that I don't know them. Because like this specific person, no matter what, you were always dumber than them. They were the smartest person in the room. Even if they didn't know anything about the thing that you were talking about, you didn't know it and you were stupid. And that like really affects a person. And so for the longest time I just thought that like I wasn't allowed to like be useful, be smart, be anything. I wasn't allowed to have a say or an opinion or an existence, really. I just needed to shut up and sit there. And like, so feeling useful or intelligent for someone else, feeling valued, because it's not even like I want to be smarter than everyone else. It's not that. It's I want to feel valued for what I do know. I want to feel like the effort that I've put in to learn the things that I've learned is worth something. That I am worth something. That I am not just. I'm not just a burden or an object blocking the way. I'm a person who worked hard and wants to help and is useful. And that's what I want, you know? And it's hard because, like, at my current job, I don't necessarily get that feeling of feeling valued. I definitely feel much more pressure and disappointment. I feel that I'm disappointing my boss because of the fact that they don't seem to ever be happy, even when I do what I'm supposed to. Even if I go in above and beyond and do extra. Even if I try to, like, teach other people so that it's not an issue anymore. Or I, you know, write up detailed instructions so that everyone can do the thing that I currently am the only one who knows how to do. None of that matters to them, and that's hard for me. Because I just want to feel valued in any way. So yeah, I just hope that, like, either that changes and I become valued, or I can find something better that fits that fills that void for me. But I honestly feel like I'm gonna do my review with them and my boss is just gonna spout a bunch of shit, and I'm gonna have to, like, hold myself back from both crying and punching a bitch through the phone. And that's not easy. It's not at all. I don't want to be treated like I'm nothing, or that I'm useless. I want my existence to matter to someone, even if only in a small way. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like because of how my work has been recently, it just has made it really hard for me to be okay. I don't feel good about how things have been. I don't feel good about how it's been handled, how I've been treated. You know, I don't like the fact that, like, it feels like I'm being like almost looked down upon, regardless of like my skill and knowledge. My boss constantly asks me for help, and she'll thank me when I help her, and then she'll like say how amazing and great I am. But then at the same time, like, that's only in that moment. And it could be a moment later that she just, like, shits on me and is like, oh, you're going to a doctor's appointment? Oh, you're gonna be late again? You know? Oh, you're not gonna work during, when I'm working? And it's just, it wears away at you as a person, you know? It becomes like a debilitating illness, almost, that you have no control over, and you can't, like, fix. Fucking, I'm about to die, bro. It just feels really bad. I just wish that I could do more, but I also know that I'm doing a lot already. So I shouldn't have to do more in the way that I'm being expected to. I don't know. Maybe I'm spoiled, but it sure doesn't fucking feel like it. It just feels like I'm trying to survive. That guy over there is, like, health is, like, not going down at all. The blue ones are always too strong. But anyways, I don't know. I could have the review and she could tell me that I'm amazing and great and the best employee she's ever had. But, like, everything up till now leads me to believe that that's not at all what will happen. And, like, I don't know, it's not like I'm expecting that. It's not like I'm like, oh, tell me I'm amazing. Oh, tell me I'm great. Like, I just want to be considered mediocre, you know? Good enough. Even on the personal review portion, I just put meets expectations and everything. Because, like, yeah, I do think that I exceed expectations in certain things. Yeah, for sure. But do I feel good about that? I don't know. Like, am I confident that that's how others will see it? Not really, because I feel like they have their eyes closed. You know? Like, there's only so much that I can feel confident in, and, like, I don't know. No matter how hard I work, I will never feel like I'm better than everyone else. Or that I'm, like, the best in the business. Even though I know that, like, my knowledge is very extensive compared to my coworkers or even my boss. That doesn't matter. What matters is that, like, how they see me, you know? I don't know. Just feel bad. It's just been hard. I know everyone has struggles with their job. It's just... I wish that things felt better. I don't know. It's not like I'm overly sad about it, like I have been in the past where it's caused me, like, severe depression. It's more that I just feel really disappointed. I feel like I'm being let down by someone else because they think that I'm letting them down. I don't know. It's like you paint this beautiful painting and then you show it to a blind person and they're like, yeah, it's nice. And it's like, well, I know they don't actually mean that. They can't see shit. But it still feels bad. You know? Because not only is it like they can't actually see it, but it also feels like they're lying to you when they did say it looked nice. Because they can't fucking see it. So why are they placating you in this way? I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a salty, overly emotional person, which is very highly likely. But I don't know. Maybe that's okay sometimes. Okay, let's see if I get murdered. Ah, he almost actually hit me. Sir, I don't like how close you're getting to hit me. Can you just die? No, the little balls. Get out of here. Oof. My movement speed is kind of shit, and my attack is kind of shit too. Am I fucking blind? Where did he go? Ah. Where am I? Okay. Nice. Sorry, stop talking because I have to focus. Anyways. And back to what I was complaining about before. I don't know. I just want things to be a little easier for a little bit. I've had like a rough time for the past couple weeks. Months. I think it's months. And I don't know. I want to be able to like enjoy having my child and everything. Like I have to have a C-section, which means that I'm gonna be like out of business for a bit. And there's really nothing I can do about that. And the baby's gonna have to be in the NICU for a while. And there's not much I can do about that either, other than just like keep going. So like the least that I could get is maybe work not suck. Maybe some of the outside stressors not be there. I know as terrible as it sounds, like I'm a little bit relieved that my grandfather passed away because at least like I know he's not in the hospital anymore, and I know that it's not gonna be like a thing of like getting calls of like, hey, he's doing bad now, or hey, it's like getting better, and then like that sort of back and forth wishy-washiness. But like there's still so many other things going on that just make everything hard. It's just hard, you know, in the world. I know we've all got our struggles, and I just hope that we can figure something out, you know? But yeah, that is a day of Risk of Rain. I do think they've fixed some of the bugs, and I do feel better about the DLC. But I just hope they keep up with it, because I do still feel like I ramped up really, really quickly compared to normal. And there was some weirdness that just it didn't feel like it was how it used to be. You know, like some of the things feel unbalanced. Like those one enemy that took me forever to kill, the little mini magma worm guy. It took so long to kill him, and I know it's because he was gold, but like fucking crazy. So yeah, it's just it's a bit rough. But you know, it's better than it was. So that's something, and I'm happy about that. But yeah, that's all for today's stream. I know, again, it wasn't the longest stream, and we just kind of babbled. Well, I just kind of complained the whole time, so I'm sorry. But remember to hydrate. Remember that I appreciate you, and I think you're important and valuable. And, you know, jobs suck, and bosses suck, and we just gotta keep doing our best, and, making our way downtown, walking fast, you know? Okay, kiddos, that's all for now. I will see you guys hopefully next weekend, but again, things have been chaotic, so if you don't see me, or, you know, I miss a couple weeks here and there, please don't be mad at me, okay? Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Love you guys. Bye!